go, bud. Let's go.
So we are officially 48 hours out from IRONMAN 70.3 Rockford. The race is this Sunday, June 14th, and right now it is Friday, June 12th, which puts us just under 2 full days out. I'm going to be covering everything in that 2 days up to the race on Sunday morning, including our travel, athlete village, everything up until the end of the race. I just got started packing all of my stuff. There's quite a bit of stuff here on the bed, so the first thing I wanted to go through is everything, all of my gear for the race on Sunday, what I'm going to be bringing with me. So we're going to split it up into swim, bike, run, and nutrition, 4 main parts, everything I need for the race. So the race in Rockford is a downriver swim. I think the last I checked, the temperature of the water is about 72 degrees, so looking like it's going to be a wetsuit legal swim. I, however, don't own a wetsuit. I'm too cheap for that, for now at least, so tri-suit it is for me. This is my, not brand new, I've used it once or twice, but my tri-suit that I'm going to be wearing for the entire race. 72 isn't that cold, so I don't think that the cold is going to be an issue, and you know, the benefits of a wetsuit on speed aren't that much for me. So tri-suit for the swim. Cap, I'm going to be getting a cap from IRONMAN, but I brought one also just in case I need it. And goggles. This is everything you need for the swim. I'm going to wear my heart rate monitor underneath the tri-suit so I can have a faster transition one. I don't have to fumble around putting that on. I don't know if I'm going to actually track my swim on my watch or not. I might, but I'm going to wear it just in case. Now on to the bike. So the bike is obviously the biggest portion of the race, being 56 miles, 2.5 to 3 hours, so that's where the majority of our gear is going to come with. First thing in T1, I have my bike shoes. I'm not going to keep them on my bike, and I'll show the bike after this, but I've worn these for years and years and years. They're just Velcro triathlon shoes. They're fantastic. This is what I'm going to be using first thing in transition. Well, not first thing. First thing is the helmet. This is an SL-S3 Aero helmet. I got it a couple weeks ago. I've worn it once or twice on outdoor rides, and it's really nice. It has a magnetic visor, fully, whatever the thing is, CS certified, Aero helmet. This is a good option. I think it's going to help with the wind, and you know, me not being a super strong biker, Aero gives a lot of advantages. So Aero helmet, first thing in T1, followed by socks. I'm wearing these cycling socks. I mentioned them before on this channel, but they're really good. So socks, shoes, got the bike computer here, Garmin Edge 540. I got this a couple months ago. It's been really fantastic. I'm going to take one spare tube and a tire lever with me. I think I'm just literally going to tape it to the bike frame because I don't have a saddlebag or anything, just in case the tire blows out. You never know. And then one CO2 canister to refill said tire if it blows out. Also, something that I just kind of decided on yesterday, arm sleeves. These are individual arm sleeves. They go on just like that. And you might be asking why I'm doing this for 70.3 in the middle of summer. Reason being, the temperature outside is going to be about 60 to 65 degrees. When you get out of the water onto the bike and start biking at 20 miles an hour, that can be really cold. And for someone with a lower amount of body fat, such as myself, you spend a lot of energy shivering. And so in order to counteract that, and also with some potential aero benefits, arm sleeves. These are easy enough to put on in T1. They take, like you just saw, 5 seconds. It'll keep me a little warmer for that first 20-30 minutes of the bike, so I'm not spending so much energy shivering, trying to heat myself up. But yeah, arm sleeves. This is the first time I'm using them on the bike, but we'll see how it goes. So that is all the equipment for the bike. Then we'll go into T2, which is it's one transition, so T1/T2. We'll go into the run. These are my run shoes, the Brooks Hyperion Max 3. I've worn these for a marathon earlier this year. I've worn them for a couple training runs. I think they're great. They're nylon plated shoes, so they're not fully aggressive carbon plated, but it's kind of what I like. Brooks Hyperion Max 3, sorry. Race belt here. If you've never worn a race belt, your number just clips onto this. Instead of having a number pinned to you all day, you can just buckle it right around you like that. So it'll be going on in T2, as well as a hat and sunglasses. That's all you need for the run. Finally, for this portion of the gear walkthrough, what am I doing for nutrition? It's a big topic in triathlon, IRONMAN 70.3, so let's start. On the bike, I'm going to have 3 bottles. They're all going to have water in them. but 2 of the bottles are going to have carbohydrates and electrolytes in them. So this one bottle is going to be just water, kind of like a reserve bottle just in case I need, just to hydrate myself. Sometimes you get sick of carb drink. In each of these bottles, I'm going to aim to have about 100 grams of carbs and I think 2,000 milligrams of sodium, something around that ballpark. I'm not sure, but 100 grams each bottle. That should put me at, 60 to 70 grams per hour on the bike. What is that carbs, you might be asking? Tailwind. This is Tailwind Endurance Formula, the berry flavor. I've been training with this for months and months and months. It's fantastic. Each serving has 25 grams of carbs, so I'll be putting, 5 servings in each of these 2 bottles. So total nutrition on the bike will get 200 grams of carbs and then 2,000 to 2,500 milligrams of sodium. So carbs, electrolytes on the bike, that's going to be the bulk of the nutrition. Onto the run, Goo energy gels. These are raspberry lemonade. I've used these before in a couple races. They're pretty good. I think I'm going to carry 2. One just to take in T2 right away, and then one if I need it in the middle of the run. There's plenty of aid stations, but just in case I need something. So that is all the gear right here that's going to be, on my person at some point. The only thing missing is the bike, and I need to get that out of my car because I just got traveled. So I'm going to go get the bike, and I'll show you that as well. So our final item, of course, the bike. You've seen this before. This is my Cervelo P2 tri-bike. I got 2 bottle cages on the back, 1 bottle cage right here. I just wrapped the handlebars. I got new tires, new tubes. Everything's set up, ready to go clean for race day. So this is the Steed I'm going to be riding 56 miles on Sunday. Good morning. It is Saturday morning right now, so day before the race. I'm going to be traveling later this morning. I'm eating a bagel right now, just getting started on my nutrition for the day. And I'm out here in the garage making sure everything is good with the bike. So everything we got here on the bike, chain is ready to go. Tires, tubes, set, brakes are good. I got this new saddlebag, which is quite cool. Interesting. I'm gonna put my spare tube nutrition in there instead of taping it to the stem like I previously did, but yeah. So one thing I've been looking at fairly frequently, and I'm sure a lot of other people do this as well, but the weather and the water temperature for Rockford tomorrow. So right now it's looking like race start is going to be pretty chilly, 55 degrees outside, which is, it's pretty chilly for me. But water temperature wise, I think right now it says like 72, 73 degrees, which is just like under wetsuit optional. So I think it's going to be a wetsuit legal swim. Again, I don't own a wetsuit. I've swam a lot, so I'm not really concerned about it. The wetsuit wouldn't give me a huge amount of benefit, so I wasn't going to wear one anyways. But it's looking like it's going to be a chilly race morning as anticipated, and not a super hot midday. I think it might get up to like 70. So as compared to last year at this race, I think it was like 95 degrees in the middle of the run. So I won't have that to deal with, but the weather's looking pretty prime for, a fast day, I think. So I'm very optimistic. It is going to storm tonight. So I think it's a downriver swim, so we should see some good current in the river, which I'm also excited for, but we'll see tomorrow morning. All right, so just finished up with all of the Ironman Village athlete briefing stuff. I did not get a chance to film most of it, but we got a couple of things here, and we're now at the hotel after all of that is done. So I picked up my packet first, which contains a couple of things. We got race number here, 1489, numbers that are on the bike, which is now in transition, number on the helmet, the swim cap. I now have my 70.3 swim cap that I can wear to the pool back home, so that everybody knows that I am cooler than them. Just kidding, but yes, swim cap that'll be for tomorrow, and timing chip. So that's everything settled. What I'm doing now is, before I take a nap, I'm going to lay out everything I need for transition tomorrow, get that all packed up and ready to go this afternoon, so I don't have to worry about it later tonight or tomorrow morning. Everything I'm going to wear, everything I'm going to bring with for the race tomorrow. Good news is it is going to be a pretty fast swim, downriver swim. They've had a couple of storms come through this week, so I'm anticipating a pretty fast swim, so that should be fun. The bike course, you know, it's going to be a little windy, a little cold, but we'll see what happens, and then the run should be fine as usual. So no new updates, nothing we didn't know before about the course. But yeah, ready to go. The only thing to do now is to make sure I'm fueled and ready to go. I'm going to take a nap here in a little bit. We're getting Italian tonight, so should be some pretty good fuel. Early start to morning, probably around 4 a.m. To get to transition. I might, you know, film some stuff here and there beforehand, but I don't know if I'll do very much of that. I'll try to get a couple of clips taken during the race, but yeah, that's everything ready to go. So, you know, I'm ready, everyone else is ready, the course is fast, should be fun, and the next time you see me, hopefully, will be the end of the race.
Smoking gun, love is dangerous. That's the way it is, that's the way it was. When you learned to run, it was in the mud, it was in the cold, now it's in your blood. I burn from the hell I've seen, but the devil can't hold me down. I've earned all the hell I'll be, standing on holy ground.
Hey, see the devil keep holding me down, but my people say poppy. See, I come from the gutter, the mud, the dirt, but somehow I got tied to this rock. I was down on my luck, I ain't had me a book. Swear this life she was rocky. Had to figure it out ASAP, cause see now I got kids, I be damned if they copy. Every store we walk in, I we shopping. If I see it, I like it, I copy. It was days when I didn't have shit, used to walk through the store putting shit in my pocket. Kicking.
Life's smoking gun, love is dangerous. That's the way it is, that's the way it was. When you learned to run, it was in the mud, it was in the cold, now it's in your blood. I burn from the hell I've seen, but the devil can't hold me down. I've earned all the hell I'll be, standing on holy.
They said if I give me some money, that shit would get better and change. The only thing changed about the shit is I got me some money. The rest of this shit still feeling the same. It probably got worse.
IRONMAN 70.3 Rockford is complete. Let's talk about this race. Before we get into the race specifics, times, goals, anything like that, I want to give a big shout out to the volunteers and the support crew at IRONMAN 70.3 Rockford this year. They talk a big game about having great community support and great volunteers, and it really was true. So shout out to everybody on the course, community, volunteers, everybody involved with the event. Fantastic work. So without further ado, let's talk about this race. Obviously, this is a big race for me. I've spent the past 23 weeks building up to this race. This is going to be my main race of the year, IRONMAN 70.3 Rockford. Starting off with what my goal was going into the day, my goal was to go sub 5 in the 70.3 distance. Last time I've done a triathlon was 5 years ago in 2021. I ran it in like 5:35, 5:36, something like that. So the goal this year was to go sub 5, and I ran 4:59.41 for the entire distance. So a goal was achieved. Go through each of the legs of the race. I'm not going to talk about, you know, transition or after the race, but each leg of the race, kind of what my goal was going into it, what my training was like, and how it panned out. So starting with the swim. The swim in Rockford is a downriver swim. Now, depending on the weather, it can be, you know, super fast current or super slow current. This year there was a ton of storms and flooding in the week leading up to the race, so we got a super like ripping fast current, and it was cold enough where it was wetsuit legal as well. Now, I don't own a wetsuit. I wasn't anticipating it to be wetsuit legal, so I didn't buy one this year. So that's put me at a bit of a disadvantage, but on a regular day in a pool for 1900 meters, I can probably swim about 29 or 30 minutes. Now, today, or I guess during the race, I swam 25:14 super comfortably, which put me at 1:15 per 100 meters. So starting off the day with a ripping fast swim. Now, in comparison, when you look at, it's a super compressed field, right? So you have fast current, wetsuit legal. People who are normally swimming 30 to 35 minutes are now swimming, you know, 24 to 26 minutes. People who are normally swimming 27 to 30 minutes are now swimming, you know, as fast as 19 minutes to 25 minutes. So super compressed field. My 25:14, which would have been good for, top 10 last year. Got me 388th overall in the swim, 43rd in my age group. So again, super compressed field. The placing on the swim wasn't of huge concern to me. I was really happy with the time, and it was a super comfortable effort. So swim was 25:14. T1, you get right out of the river, run down to my bike. It's a pretty long transition, tunnel to get there, but ran to my bike, shoes on, everything, 3 minutes and 24 seconds. So not bad. I think I could have gotten it down closer to 2:30 to 3, but I put on those arm sleeves you saw, which cost an extra couple seconds, socks, things like that, but 3:24 for T1. Now let's talk about the bike, and first I want to give a little bit of background as to my biking, cycling background and the training I did coming into this. So I have a really strong background as a swimmer. I swam from age 6 to 16, and as a runner. I've run, my whole life up until including this year. So the bike is, however, my weak point, and I knew that coming into this year. I never seriously trained cycling before this at any point in my life, and it's always been a weak point for me. So I spent the past 23 weeks, like I said, getting as good as I can at cycling, running, and swimming, and cycling was a big part of that. I average, 6 to 9 hours per week on the bike, 150 to 200 miles per week, which is a lot for me. But again, I'm still a beginner when it comes to cycling. And I think that definitely shows when we talk about my bike split, and I'll talk about the course as well. But my bike split was a 3:02:14, which was 18.5 miles per hour across 56 miles. So that was good for 677th overall, 69th in my age group. So I talk about my background cycling. I'm not a super strong cyclist right now. I'm going to spend a long time getting very good at cycling the later half of this year, but that's one thing. And the course. So let's talk about the course. The first half of the course, we had some pretty good rollers. The first 30 miles, I'd say there's probably 1,000 feet of elevation. So not a ton of climbing, but we also have a headwind and a crosswind of anywhere from 20 to 30 miles per hour. Now, I'm super light, right? I'm like 135 pounds. This bike is super light. I get a 30 mile per hour crosswind going. I'm flying halfway across the road. So kind of scary for the first half of the bike, and the headwind also definitely impacted my speed, as aero as I was and all of the things. The first splits you see, 17 miles per hour, 17 and a half, 17 miles per hour. And going into mile 30 of this bike, it was kind of like a bit of a mental game, saying, wow, I'm only averaging 17 miles per hour. What's going on? Important to stay on top of your mental game and know that, okay, the back half of this, I'm going to have at least a little bit of a tailwind, if not just no headwind, and I'll have a little bit of relief from that going in. So then you see, from mile 35 or 40 onwards, it went, 19.5 miles per hour, 21.5 miles per hour. The last 6 miles were 22 miles per hour average. So I know that I'm fit. I know that I have these speeds in my legs. I could rip it a little bit the second half of the bike. It's just that first half with the headwind, crosswind, kind of killed me a little bit. But 302 on the bike, it's not exactly what I wanted. I wanted a little closer to 245, but 302, it's not bad for what the conditions were on that course. Other things to note about the bike, IRONMAN 70.3 races in the middle of the pack are very crowded. It's very hard to stay away from the draft. And when you're going up hills, if you want to pass people, you got to pass 8 people because they're all sitting in a group. So a little bit of difficulty on, the bike handling and the technical, like, how do I get around people? How do I do this? How do I do that on the bike? But other than that, it went well. I got about 3/4 of my nutrition down, so 120, 150 grams of carbs across the bike, which was, again, fine for me. So that's the bike, just about 3 hours. I probably could have gone a little faster, but I'm not super concerned about it because I've only spent 5 months, really getting into cycling. So I wasn't expecting, a ripping fast split. Now the bike I did, I knew that I was going to be a little slower, so I took the opportunity to manage my energy a little bit. I made sure, my legs weren't blowing up. My heart rate was like 170 and below. So it was a big energy management bike. T2, 234, faster than T1. So flying dismount coming into T2, flawless execution, ran my bike down, put my shoes on, and went off on the run. Now, let's talk about the run, because like I said, I have a very good background as a runner, so historically that's been my best leg. My plan for the run was pretty simple, and I don't really have good race strategy when it comes to the run portion of the triathlon. I'll tell you my strategy. My goal was sub 125 on the run. So my plan was to go out of T2 and just start ripping, 620 miles and hold on to that as long as I could until my legs inevitably blow up. My legs didn't really end up blowing up, so I ended up splitting 1:26.17 on the run. I started out at like 6:20s, 6:10, 6:20, and I really held that until probably the last 2 miles where I, bumped down into 7:30s, but ended up with a 1:26. I lost probably about a minute at about mile 7 of the run. I had to use the bathroom like all the way through the bike, and I held it until 7 miles into the run. I had to stop for a minute to go to the bathroom, so might have gone sub 125 without that, but not a bad day at all. And my legs didn't blow up, I didn't cramp, I had a little bit of stomach issues around mile 11 or 12, but 126 split, 10th in my age group, so Runflation has officially hit the triathlon community, 50th overall run split. I'm still happy with it though. 126 off the bike is nothing to, turn your nose at. So I'm really happy with that. I said I finished in 4:59.41, so just below that 5-hour mark. And I'm coming around, this is a story I'll remember. I'm coming around that last turn, and my dad's there, who's been there for all of my running career, and he knows that I hate this when, coaches or people do this, but it kind of gets you going. He says, I have 400 meters left at that point. He says, you have 90 seconds if you want to go below 5 minutes. I'm like, shoot. And so I checked on Strava, Garmin afterwards. I think my last 400 meters was probably 115 or 120, which is like 5:20 pace. So something ridiculous, but I really wanted to get below that 5-hour mark. So yeah, so that's the 3 disciplines. There's been a lot of build-up coming into this race, and honestly, I couldn't have asked for a much better day. 4:59 with feeling as good as I did throughout the day, nothing catastrophic happening. I'm super happy with that. And all that being said, there's still 7 months left in the year, so there's a lot to talk about moving forward. And I'm going to make a couple of videos about this too. But let's talk briefly about what's next for me, what the rest of the year is going to look like, just so everyone's aware and we have something to look forward to. So the next event that I signed up for is the Ann Arbor Triathlon. That's the Michigan Age Group State Championship Triathlon. I'll be doing the Olympic in 4 weeks from now. So bit of recovery, a couple weeks of hard work, and then we got another triathlon coming right up with the Ann Arbor Tri. After that, I think it's 9 weeks until there's another local triathlon near me in Metro Detroit that I'm going to compete in. There's a 5K in October, and then just the rest of the year. So the next 7 months, I'm really going to focus in on, of course, cycling. I don't need to get that much faster in running. I'm going to, up my time in the pool a little bit just so I'm in shape. But cycling, I'm planning on, 8 to 10 hours per week for the next 6 or 7 months, and we'll see how fit that gets me. I'm hopeful that I'll get, more fit so that 70.3s in the future, I can get down to that, 230 range on the bike, 220 range, but we'll see. But really, not a ton of races left this year, 2, maybe 3 races, but there will be videos about those, I think, so stay tuned for that. Thank you for following along so far, and stay tuned for the next one.